I celebrated Christmas with my parents a little early this year, and my dad got me a pack of 6 VELOCIRAPTORs. Not the flex, but that's what I got. I was thinking about, what I could do with this, what kind of project, and I thought it was about time for a break from my X-Men sculpting series, so I thought I'd make something for fun. Being me though, for fun means trying to get this video out on the day of actual Christmas. Almost immediately, looking at all these little guys got me thinking of Santa's sleigh. They would be pulling Santa's sleigh for Christmas. Hence the insane deadline, which is about 2 days. I didn't really give myself much time. This is one of the more chaotic work processes I've ever filmed or captured, so please enjoy. I'm relatively new to scratch building, but my process seems to be finding a bunch of garbage like that Timmy's cup and trying to fit it into the shape that's in my brain. I get pretty frustrated pretty easily with this kind of stuff. After trying to saw it, I try to cut it. Most of my videos do have pretty cool sound effects, like as an ASMR channel, I'm sure I'd do pretty well if it wasn't for the fact that I am an extremely high level mouth breather. So a lot of these clips are filtered so that you don't hear me in the background. To make this sleigh, I'm just fiddling about with all these different bits of scrap, plastic and bit of wood and aluminum wire there just to try and get the basic shape that I want. A lot of this looks like a toddler picking up and throwing stuff back because they don't like their new toy anymore. That is what I was doing for most of this project, which is kind of the fun part. You're just throwing stuff at the wall, seeing if it works, picking it up, throwing it away, trying again, seeing if this angle looks cool. It is kind of like a big puzzle, and that's why I like scratch building so much. No super sophisticated anatomy or measurements or even references, just good old-fashioned foraging and a lot of super glue. You really should be doing this in a well-ventilated area. If some of these pieces look pre-assembled, that's because I was scrapping an old scratch build project and using it for this one as well. And just in case you find that super glue a little satisfying, I ruined it for you right there. There you go. That's my little mock-up of the final sleigh. And then of course I had to put little harnesses on my beautiful little VELOCIRAPTORs, which meant more super glue and some string, which when mixed together make a pretty terrifying looking vapor. So please wear a mask. I finished off day 1 by spray painting all of the pieces, which meant I could start day 2 off with painting. I was really looking forward to this part. As I do in every project, you're just gonna start blocking out different colors. Obviously this is Christmas themed, so a lot of reds, dark reds, light reds, even a pink, whatever you want. I obviously wanted this to have kind of a scratch build goblin feel like my last video, so I had some cardboard that was made to look like corrugated metal, but I still wanted a bit of gold and red, right, for that like Christmas theme. So I tried to mix those together, started messing around a lot with, different colors, different variations, different washes, and then before you know it, it turned into a big, messy, blobby mess. Once you have all of the basic colors down, you can start adding detail, like this super satisfying dry brush of silver, which I did on almost everything except maybe the gold pieces and whatever was supposed to be a different texture, which was really only the leather seats, I think. On top of those dry brush elements, I added a wash of black, sometimes brown, just to give everything a dirty, grimy feel, to really add that aesthetic. After dirtying everything up, I then go over it with some brighter colors just to add a pop of color and to make it look like there was maybe some paint chipping or stuff like that. Same thing with rust. It is to give realism, but also to have a bit more brighter color. And then little scratches of silver, make it look like it's really getting dinged up, Because it's the Christmas season, we gotta do some snow. So I'll show you my neat little trick, which is baking soda, glue, white paint, and you mix it about, and you can mess around with the proportions. You also need a bit of water to make it a little smoother, and the paint is so it doesn't turn yellow in the future. And the application is really just smearing it on and trying to make it look like snow. So in this case, the snow would be well worn, There's a sled being pulled across it, so you're gonna have marks and things like that, and footsteps ideally. So it's just a messy application, and you get to have some fun. Day 3 started off pretty strong with me making a massive goblin that I was trying to add a lot of detail to and make a nice centerpiece, but on looking at it, once I staged it one final time, those poor little VELOCIRAPTORs had to pull an enormous giant of a goblin. So I started over with an itty bitty little goblin this time, trying to make it more proportional, but by this time, Christmas Eve was approaching pretty quickly, and I was starting to rush, trying to get this out as soon as possible. The more intense the deadline, the less I enjoy myself. So I didn't really take my time, and I started pushing. And you know what? He didn't look too bad. He was well proportioned for what I was trying to do. So I tried to quickly give him some clothing because I didn't think that a naked Goblin Santa would have been very appropriate. Then I made his cute little Santa hat, and while he was baking, I could start painting some more Velociraptors pretty quickly. Just a bit of yellow as a base and then some green. Then I added some darker green stripes on him just to give him a bit more texture, make him a little more interesting. And towards the end, at a distance, it does look pretty good when you have actual patterns on them, and I didn't just slap some green on there and call it a day. Then while they're drying and Santa is done baking and cooled off a little, I start adding the skin tone, which is a base color that I then go over with a darker shadow color in the areas I want to be a little more defined. And then I start highlighting with my first base color. Usually the nose and the cheekbones is where I start, and I can start adding in other areas depending on where I want the lighting to be. Then a final little highlight color just to finalize and mix everything together. Then I can put a wash over it. This time I'm using a speed paint, which is kind of like my go-to on this channel. And then of course I can finish his hat and pants with some red. And once he's in place, I can get on to the final step, which is attaching all of my little Velociraptors to the actual sleigh, and then putting the reins in our Santa's hands, and finishing this project with some more suspicious looking vapor that doesn't smell too good and is probably not so healthy. And that's it. Santa's done. Obviously not on Christmas Day, a couple days late, I think, depending on when I finish the editing. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. This is definitely one of the more far out, wild things I've done. And his sleigh is empty. There are no gifts in there because this came out after Christmas, so he's already delivered them all. And that's my explanation. It's not because I didn't want to do them anymore. Thank you for watching, and let me know if you enjoyed this kind of thing. Also, let me know in the comments if you'd like to see a finished version of that massive goblin. I'll see you guys next time.